you are more than the teacher. You are the parent. You are the friend. With limitations, of course, but you are more. You're always going to be more than a teacher, because the relationship you have to establish with these kids in order to get them. You have to find a way to really build these relationships. And that was the thing that I struggled with my first year. I didn't grasp that importance of establishing relationships.
It's the Empowerment Perspective Podcast, hosted by Damiso Josey and Mr. Kareem Spence. Stay empowered. Stay empowered. All right, welcome to yet another episode of the Empowerment Perspective Podcast. I go by the name of Dr. Damiso Josey, and I am honored right now, to be honest with you, and I really feel good, the fact that I was able to link up with this brother, somebody that I feel like our paths have crossed, or at least, our passions and our careers have crossed in so many different ways, and he's doing some great things out there in Philadelphia. And he was on some other podcasts. I was like, yo, man, you got to stop being selfish. I need you on my podcast too. So I reached out, made sure, he was able to bless us with his presence. But when you talk about, on the Empowerment Perspective Group, we talk about finding your gift. And then I think the gift is something that comes naturally and easy to you, that you don't have to really think about it. And I spent a long time in my life fighting my gift, which is part of the reason why I was working in ESPN and ABC. But my true gift, I thought, was a gift of service. And it kind of led me this path to education and, public speaking and podcasting and things of that nature. And I kind of feel like this brother that I have on today kind of walks that same path. And I kind of feel like he talk about somebody that's leaning into his gift right now. And I think this is really, really something that we need to discuss on this particular podcast. This is season 5 of the Empowerment Perspective Podcast. And again, we're about bringing you useful information and powerful people. So I would like to welcome everybody and welcome this brother to the show, Mr. Vince Simmons. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful, man. How are you?
I can't complain, man. It's election season going on out here. There's craziness going on out in the world. So as we talk, I'm sitting here watching CNN and watching these numbers fly across the screen as well. We'll talk about that a little bit too. But I had the pleasure of working with you at ESPN. We met in Connecticut. And to be honest with you, when I first walked in, I think you started before me, but when I first walked in, it was like, it wasn't too many. I felt like that scene in Spike Lee's movie, how come no brothers up on the wall, right? So I go in there, and it was like, there wasn't too many of us in there. I think it was maybe 4 of us that was working in there. And, naturally, once we started talking and getting to know each other and found out you were from Philadelphia, which is a hop, skip, and a jump from where I'm from, and we just kind of connected a little bit there. I want to go back, though, to why did you choose that route to go into television? How did you land in ESPN? And then we're going to transition and talk about that transition. So tell us a little bit of why you even, was that always the path for you?
I'll be quite honest with you. When I was in college and I took a definite unique passion and unique path to get to how I end up in broadcasting. Originally, when I first got to college, I was considered a lost soul. I was going to play basketball, but I didn't really know what I really wanted to do with my career. And then all of a sudden, because I started out at a junior college in upstate New York, and I ended up just started coming down to the campus radio station. And next thing you know, I started having fun. It would turn into, started having a little radio show, started getting into a little bit of producing, trying to get other people involved in radio. And then I started taking TV classes, and I realized, you know what? I'll start to have fun here. So I started to feel like, okay, this is a path that I might want to actually pursue. So after I graduated from community college in upstate New York, then I moved on to Mansfield University. Got up to, was after a bad start, because I was there, but I wasn't focused. I was focused on the social life. And as a result of it, I ended up getting academically dismissed from the university for about a year. So that year I was working two part-time jobs, barely making like $200 a week.
Mm.
This was, and just remember this. This was back in 1994, 1995. Still trying to figure all that out.
So let me pause you real quick because I want to talk about your high school experience because I find it interesting. What do you think was missing from your education that didn't prepare you for college at that point? Or was it just something, other circumstances that were going on? Or do you feel like the high school what area could they prepared you to not have such a rocky road and experience in college?
I think it was more about me than anything else. It starts with me. My focus was not really there as far as taking school seriously, but at the same time too, I didn't have the guidance or got the best advice or had nobody to really show me, okay, the path that I need to take in order for me to be successful. Mm-hmm. So there was really nobody around for me to show me that.
Gotcha. All right, so you're now in college. You're dabbling with this entertainment / communications career, and then what happens after that? Once you graduated, talk about the process of how you landed at ESPN.
Okay, well, in the summer of 1996, I landed a summer job at a camp in Maine called Camp Cedar. One of the kids that I was working with, his father happened to be the vice president of production of ESPN. His name was Howard Katz. And his son, apparently he had a great, we developed a great counselor kid relationship, and he was going through some troubling times. So his dad was so impressed with me, for helping out his son, that he found out that I was in production, and so he gave me his card. He said, "Hey, call me when you graduate." So I sent my resume. I sent my resume about to ESPN to him, and he called me and said, "If I don't hear nothing within a week, call it right back." So it was about a week and a half, and I called him back, and then about an hour after I made that phone call back, one of the managers of production called me and wanted to get scheduled me for an interview. So I flied up there for an interview. I drove up there for an interview, and then I came back with the job.
I think that's an important piece here, and we always talk about the power of networking, and ESPN really taught me that, and I wish I would have known it when I was in college. But I found out that I was working next to people that were history majors. They didn't even major in television. So the ability to network, if I could tell any young people anything, your ability to network is so important. Even whether you stumble upon it like you did, or and especially today, it's a lot easier because you got social media. Your network to be crazy right now, right? You know what I mean? So those are the spaces that if you're young people out here that's listening to this podcast, is that you need to build your network in order for you to be able to at least get into the room to have those conversations. So I think that's really an important piece there. So you got the job at ESPN. What was your role at that particular
time? I landed a position as a master control operator, and those who may not be aware of, I tell everybody the master control position is considered like the last line of defense before it goes on air. We're responsible for make sure the audio goes out good, make sure the video goes out good, make sure we communicate within between production and satellite transmission department, make sure the connections are good, So everything goes through us. We have to make sure the right commercial goes to air. And if it doesn't go the right commercials go to air, we just cost the company some money.
Yeah, I remember a
So,
story. I remember we were, you might not have been on the shift with me, but the show Outside the Lines was on. And we
mm-hmm.
were off the air for like 7 seconds. But that 7 seconds was
Mm.
during the commercial break. And I think it was a Pepsi ad, if I remember correctly. And that company lost so much money. I remember people got fired over that. Like those 7 seconds. I don't think people understand how cutthroat TV was. Like, so you're either built for it or you're not built for it. You better be ready. When those moments come in. That 7 seconds is crazy.
It's very important that those like you really have to be alert. Now, I'll be the first one to admit, mass control is it could when there's nothing going on, it could be the most boring job on the planet.
Yes.
The most boring job on the planet. So if you're not live, you're running nothing but tape programming, that's when you really can mess up.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah.
Is when nothing's going on.
Uh-huh.
So everybody's not built for this. Matter of fact, it's not really. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was blessed to be able to do it for 15 years, but I shouldn't even done it for no more than 2, because it's not like if you're talking about trying to move a career. I reached as far as I go, and then at this point, it became a paycheck.
Yeah, that's true. And I think something you said kind of it fits with life, right? I feel like when there's nothing going on in your life is when you mess up the most. Understand what I'm saying? So I feel like, we talked off the air, like how busy, life is and stuff like that. But when you're busy and you're moving, you don't have time to really make stupid decisions. You know what I'm saying? So I think, just having that experience, but you're absolutely right, man. I remember being in there in days of just like, I'm sitting here watching it. You get assigned a network, and I have to watch this network. And if it was like dog racing or something stupid, like team program, like come on, man. Like, did I really spend all this time in college to sit here and watch TV? But I got paid for it too.
Exactly.
A lot of people was like, it's ESPN, sports, I said, you don't understand though. Like it's a job.
You really don't. People don't really understand. They look at the land. They see the 4 letters, right? They think like, okay, you make a lot of money. What people don't realize, okay, the longer you be there and the longer you're in that one position, the more difficult it is for you to move or to transition to another opportunity. So now your salary becomes higher, where if you're trying to pursue an opportunity in another department, may not want to take advantage of you.
Yeah,
and that's because you make too much money.
It's the same thing in education right now. I mean, as an assistant principal right now, I'm almost to the point where I'm pricing myself out. I would actually have to take a pay cut in order to move up, an administrative ladder. So that's a tricky thing to balance. But yeah, I mean, the name was great. It was cool to work there. We was working with a lot of young people, and it was definitely a nice space to be in. And then I went to ABC while I think you were still at ESPN.
Yeah.
But I kind of felt like
I have to share this.
Say it again.
I had to share this one story with you.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. When I first met you, right? I thought you were so mean. You had this look like I'm talking about. Bro, will you smile for once?
Yeah.
I was like, will you smile? I was like, I had to.
No, but
but I was glad I was glad I was so wrong about you though.
Thank you. In my defense though, I was fresh out of college. You know what I mean? I was living in my first space in an unknown. I'd never been to Connecticut in my life. I was out there by myself and working those shift hours, as you know. My hours were 4 a.m. in the morning to 12, so it wasn't. And I had off Tuesday, Wednesday, so I was like borderline depressed, miserable. You know what I mean? But here I am working for ESPN, and I'm supposed to be, whatever. I was just like, I can't believe like this is my life right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that was kind of like how I felt through a lot of it, and I was only making $28,000 coming out. I mean, this is back in the day. Now I'm looking at it like, how did I make $28,000 work? You know what I'm saying? I had an apartment, car, bills. I was like, how did that, you know what I mean? I laugh at that $28,000. I spend that in 2 weeks sometimes. Like, but I got a feeling, and I don't know if you feel the same way. Like, did you feel uncomfortable in the space that you were in? Like, what led to the transition? I know for me, like I said, I kept fighting my gift. So I would always try to find volunteer opportunities. I got into coaching a little bit while I was up there. And I kind of was just like, you know what? It's time for me to I got to stop fighting this thing. So what led that transition for you to leave that space?
I'll be quite honest with you. It took me a long time, a really long time to fight that space. But what the indication that I did was, I met, what did it for me was, I guess, my first year. I found how I landed. I got into coaching, but it just happened to fall in my lap. I was at church, and there was in a bulletin. It said looking for a JV boys basketball coach. So I went to the church office and inquired about the position. They gave me the number, and next thing you know, I got into the school called the Master School in West Simsbury, Connecticut, and I was there, and then I got the job as a boys JV basketball coach, and I was there for 3 years. Helping the varsity team also win Christian school championships. We were definitely going in the right direction. Then all of a sudden, I was at a crossroads myself because I've actually took an opportunity. There was an opportunity. I met my first wife, and I was at the same time too. I came across an opportunity to move to Atlanta. Then I passed up the opportunity to stay in Connecticut. It was because at the time I found love and found family. And so that took precedence at that time. And then, as you know, I got married, and then my career kind of put myself at halt. Now, I was able to increase opportunities for coaching wise, but the job at ESPN became a job. I was getting raises every year. I didn't really I got comfortable because
it was a job but not a purpose.
Exactly. So I decided to, and then when I was thinking about doing something else, I was kind of being convinced that, I need to stay there. We can't afford to leave because now family came into play. So I can't just actually uproot and change careers or do something that I really want, or think about doing anything else. So I just accepted that. And then in about 2011, I, got divorced. And then my mom in 2013, well, actually 2012, I actually left ESPN. Well, unwillingly left ESPN. So basically, they let me go. And so in 2013, I didn't have a job or anything like that, but I was still coaching. I was still coaching, got involved in other different high schools, AAU programs, and I was still in 2013, I landed a head coaching position at Lincoln College of New England as a women's head basketball coach. That was still a part-time, position, whatever. And then my mother, as I said, all of a sudden my mother got, was really battling cancer. And so I made the decision to come home, came back to Philly. So I decided to move back to Philly because there was really nothing going on. Right. My time at ESPN ended, family, divorce. So it was like, okay, I need to move back to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I get it. Kind of regain those roots, you know what I mean? Go back and reground yourself a little bit and look for those opportunities that are there. So then you got into coaching while you went back to Philadelphia?
Yes. I landed a assistant coaching position, assistant women's coaching position at Arcadia University, and I didn't think, and that was actually, and I like to share the story that I find that position to be the most rewarding one for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I say that is because I had no connections. I had no one to lobby for me. It was straight resume.
Mm.
I did an interview, and she, on her own accord, out of 35 people that interviewed for assistant coaching positions, right? I end up with being one of those assistant coaches. So I had no hookup.
Right.
So I value that experience for that 1 year. That it's an opportunity. So while I was doing that, I took a job with FedEx. And so I'll get into that in a second. But that 1 year was so rewarding for me. It was such great experience. I tell you what, I cherish that moment out of all my coaching years. That was the one that signified the most. So going into that was, and then an opportunity with an organization called Philly Triple Threat, which is an AAU program, one of the top AAU programs in Pennsylvania and around the country.
Mm-hmm.
A guy named Eric Morley, who's the executive director, blessed me with an opportunity to coach the ninth grade team, and then I started, coaching there. I was there for 6-7 years, coaching, helping out with the program, and then next thing you know, I got in a crossroads as far as coaching wise. I didn't not sure that that's something that I really wanted to do anymore.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden, an opportunity for me to join the Philadelphia Reign, which is a women's professional basketball team, in reaching, looking for a community liaison. So I was able to transition out of coaching to administration.
Mm.
And also, I'm also on an executive for the Philadelphia Reign. Basically, my responsibility now is to do stuff like this. Do interviews, get the Philadelphia Reign name out there, develop relationships with people in the communities, set up community events, and it's been really, really. It gave me my fuel back, my desire to stay in basketball. So my transition out of coaching now to an administrative role,
mm-hmm.
with a upstart women's professional basketball team has been tremendous.
So you've had experience coaching boys and girls, sort of like myself as well. And I have my own feelings about coaching boys versus girls or women at this particular point. What do you think is the difference between the two? I know how I feel. I want to hear how you feel, the difference between coaching the two. And then we'll get back to the Philadelphia Reign.
I had a good experience with coaching boys. I never thought about coaching girls when I got into coaching. And then all of a sudden, I'll tell you how I end up coaching girls. A guy named Kevin Walton, who was my stepdaughter at the time, girls basketball coach. He asked me to coach their summer league team, and one thing I didn't want to do was coach my kids.
Mm.
No matter what level, because I don't want to. I like to just enjoy being dad. I didn't want to coach. I don't want to coach my kids.
Mm.
So I end up being coaching girls, and next thing you know, I've been doing nothing but coaching girls ever since. I don't know anything else.
Right.
But to answer your question about why the difference, the boys level is, they're more athletic, of course. They, they look at more flash. and so forth. I find them to be they're a little bit more hard headed. The girls, they listen more. They're more fundamentally skilled, because they know that's what they have to rely on.
Right.
So I'm not going to say they're easy to coach, but I will say that they was a little bit more disciplined.
Completely agree with you with that. Coaching boys, everybody was going to the NBA, of course, and everybody at the time, AI had the crossovers. So everybody wanted to do the crossover. I'm going to the league. But now when I coach, I'm at Brown University coaching their women's. They're doing it for the pure love of the game. They're just doing it for the pure love of the game. They enjoy being in the gym. They enjoy each other. They listen, like you said. Where these guys, everybody wants to, like I said, everybody's good. Everybody should be starting. Everybody should be doing, going to the NBA. And it just feels good to be around a bunch of people who love the game as much as I do. My personal relationship with basketball saved my life. So I'm just going,
I'm the same way. So. I'm the same way. It saved my life. It saved, I benefited from the game of basketball. Like I said, I was a kid. I was the guy in high school. I was the guy on the bench. Okay, I went to Dobbins Tech. Okay, I was the quote unquote 11th, 12th man on the bench. And to the day at 48 years old, I have no shame of that to say that, because my message to everybody is that I loved it. I did it for the love. I didn't do it because, yes, you want to be a starter. You wanted to, impress people. You want to move up. At the same time too, I did it because I loved it. And if I had to sit the bench or whatever, okay, fine. I've maximized my ability to the best that I can, and I have no regrets about it.
So let's talk about the Philadelphia Reign a little bit more. Like, where do you guys play? How long has this been around? Talk about that league a little bit more for our audience.
Okay. Well, the Philadelphia Reign is in. Well, actually, this season would have been our third season, but because of COVID, our season got canceled. We play out of the WPBA, which is the Women's Basketball Professional Organization. I'm sorry, the Women's Basketball Professional Association. Okay. There's about 8 teams in the league. Most of the teams are down south, and we actually are the first women's professional team in Philadelphia in the last 20 years.
Wow. I didn't even know they had a professional female team in Philadelphia at all.
Remember when the WNBA came out?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was another professional women's team called, I believe it was the APL.
Mm.
Okay, they had teams around the league. They would, even at that time, they were making more money than the WNBA. Players were making more money.
Mm-hmm.
But the league wasn't making any money. So they ended up having to shut down after a couple of years.
Gotcha.
So the one thing that we had to remind ourselves in that the league still has to make money. As much as you want to pay players, but the league also has to be a balance.
Mm-hmm.
The league has to make money in order for the players to make money. So now we're upstart women's basketball league. I believe 2 years ago, the team went undefeated, and we're still. As I said, we'd have loved to have played this year, but due to COVID, we were not in the play. So right now we're planning for the 2021 season.
Gotcha.
So in this time off, we were able to do many fundraising events, not only fundraising, but also community events. Back in September, we did a back-to-school backpack drive. We went down Nicetown and distributed out over Nicetown in Philadelphia. We distributed out over 100 backpacks with supplies to kids in the neighborhood. We also in October, no, actually, I'm sorry, in September as well, we participated with WeTheVote.org into a voter registration drive down in South Philadelphia. And now we're also working. We just got finished completing a T-shirt drive. We did a set over custom ink because one thing that so that we can stay above float financially.
Gotcha.
We sold over 150 items in a combination of hoodies, T-shirts, long sleeve shirts, short sleeve shirts. We ran that drive for about 4 weeks, and then we was able to raise money, and also through the money that we raised, also able to help out and stay involved in the community as well.
Is there a website or a place where people can get more information about Philadelphia Rain and possibly getting involved in some of your fundraising efforts?
Yes, it's www.philadelphiarain.com.
All right, definitely check that out. Make sure they're doing some wonderful things down there in the city of Philadelphia. Empowerment Perspective Group will check y'all out too. Maybe we can link up and do some things. We have our holiday drive coming up too, so maybe there's something that we could do there. I want to shift gears a little bit because you are in Philadelphia. You mentioned community and things of that nature, and if you've been following the news over the last couple of months, really, there's a lot of things going on in Philadelphia. And it's obviously a topic that's near and dear to my heart, obviously, being a Black male in the society and some things going on. Just talk about, because I'm not physically in Philadelphia, but talk about some of the things that's going on and where are you mentally right now in the state of what Philadelphia is going through?
I'm mentally exhausted. And I'm saddened. I'm heartbroken. Doc Rivers, who's now the 76ers basketball coach, said this best. We as Black people love this country, but we don't feel love. We don't feel the love back. And I'm paraphrasing what he says that. A lot of times I don't feel love back when I see what's going on, with the police brutality. But at the same time, I'm also heartbroken because of our young Black kids getting killed by this Black on Black crime. Two major situations, and I want to make sure that I have this opportunity to mention this whenever I do an interview. One is I'm devastated by the death of, I believe the guy's name is Russ Carter, who was a graduate from Simon Gratz High School, who was murdered. You're in your own neighborhood, and you happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time, and you get killed. This guy was on his way to play college basketball, and he loses his life, senseless. And that saddens me. I'm heartbroken about that. And then another kid, her name is Jasmine Waters. Okay, and she's driving, 20 years old. She loses her life because of senseless, ignorant kids with guns. She can't even drive her own neighborhood. Now she's 20 years old, and a parent has to bury her child. So I follow her mother on Facebook. Every day, she's screaming for justice for her family. And so I would not be doing a service if I don't mention that in any opportunity I get a chance to speak. And I hope one day that she gets, she can find peace a mother, her family can find peace in both families, but also at the same time too, they can find justice as well.
Sure.
But at the same time, I want people to understand this too. We can't be outraged about police shooting and not be outraged about black on black crime as well. It has to be both. But we have to stop killing each other.
That's facts.
So how can we expect other people to love us if people see that we don't love each other?
That's facts for sure.
So that part right there, it bothers me.
As it should.
It really does. So when I think about it, I said, we got to be just as outraged. We got to protect our neighborhoods. You know, I'm talking like I teach 7th, 8th grade science. Okay, and I'm telling my students every day, I'm giving them the floor to speak and see how they feel. I got one, you know, and also too, there was another murder by the name of Walter Wallace Jr. And so one of the things that really hurts me if I'm actually see the video of the being murdered. And kids are terrified. Like my students are terrified because they live in West Philly. They're terrified what's going on. They don't feel safe. And I don't care what anybody says. Can nobody justify tearing down your own neighborhood? Can nobody tell me otherwise that it's okay to tear down your own neighborhood? You know, that's never the answer.
I look at all of this, and I remember growing up and seeing violence and kind of becoming numb to it. And it's kind of was like, you know, that's just kind of things that happen, learn how to maneuver and things of that nature. But now I'm, you know, middle age. I feel like almost ashamed of myself because I feel like I'm not doing a good enough job leading today's youth in the right direction if this is still going on. Like, I mean, I know I'm one person, but I feel like the burden is on my generation or our generation. And we're not doing a good enough job of providing opportunities for these young people, providing a right perspective on life and living by a different code and different morals and principles. It's almost like these kids are fending for themselves almost. And when you have a young brain that's out there doing that, on top of a society that's looking at you like you're an animal, what do you expect them to, what do you expect them to behave like? You know what I'm saying? Right. I feel guilty, and which is part of the reason why I do these podcasts and do my speaking thing is that, and the large reason why I'm in education is it's because they need that guidance. They need that, our generation, to make this happen. Like this is the fruit of we raise these kids, right? This is our fruit, right? So right now there's a lot of rotten fruit. There's some great ones out there too, but we got to hold ourselves accountable too as parents to these children. And it's on a broader scale, this COVID thing too, and being in education, I'm seeing how poor of a job we are doing with parenting these kids. It's terrible.
Absolutely. And that's one of the parts that really bothers me, because like I'm dealing with kids every day about, you know, teaching them accountability. Like as teachers, and you've been doing a lot. I've been blessed to do this for almost for officially December will be officially 2 years for me. Okay. I've been blessed to do this at the same time as teacher. You're more than just a teacher, especially in the inner city school. You are more than a teacher. You are the parent. You are the friend, with limitations, of course. But you are more. You're always going to be more than a teacher, because the relationship you have to establish with these kids in order to get them. You have to find a way to really build these relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing that I struggled with my first year. I didn't grasp that importance of establishing relationships, so they can feel comfortable coming to you, so they can know who you are, and so that in order to get them to do what need them to do, in order to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
So now in my second year, because I focus on establishing those relationships, I'm able to get them to do the things I want them to do. And, so that like when there's assignments, I'm able to get them to do their assignments. They're more inspired now because now you are already established a relationship. They know who you are.
Right.
They can come to you about anything. At the same time too, you have to hold them accountable too.
Mm-hmm.
When they do wrong or when they do mess up.
Yeah.
But they want this, and a lot of kids, they don't have that discipline at home. I believe personally, kids want to be disciplined. They want structure, and it's hard if they don't have that structure at home. So school is, and this is the thing that I'm understanding about not being in the building, is that they when they're in the building, a lot of those kids, that is their structure.
Mm-hmm.
That is their safe haven. Is at school.
Yep.
And them not being there, it took away that safe haven for them. And that's the part that I miss. But at the same time too, we still have to be safe. We also have to be, we can't put our health at risk.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're getting into about the election and so forth in a minute, but this spot, we have to we have to make sure that the building's safe.
Yeah.
And we're able to come back in the building.
I think the one thing that you hit the nail on the head, and we talk about all the time in the Prime Perspective group, especially when we talk to teachers, I'm a firm believer that 95% of what we do is relationship building. If you don't establish that relationship, I mean, I can even extend that even as a parent, it's relationship building. Even as a boss and an employee, it's relationship building. Whether you're president, it's all relationship building. And if you can't get to that space, you're never going to be able to connect with people. Well, you've probably seen my Facebook posts. I'm always with my children, and I'm always establishing a relationship.
Beautiful children. Beautiful children, let me tell you.
Thank you.
I love seeing with you and your family.
Thank you. I realize that my greatest investment in life as a parent right now is my children. So what I'll do is I'll invest in them, not only financially, but I'm investing in them in their education. I'm investing in the time that I spend with them. It's all relationship building. So they can come talk to me when it's difficult things. They can come lean on when they need it. And I get that a lot of people are, trying to survive. You're trying to put food on the table, but there's time for you to build relationships. You make time for what you want, you think is important. You know what I mean? And if you don't do that, these kids, they're going to be left to their own devices. And this is what's going to happen. It's crazy.
My daughter is she's 31. Okay, I have a 31-year-old daughter. Okay, we were just talking like the other day, and I run across I run across disinfectant wipes and cleaning supplies all the time. And I had to share this story with you real quick, right? And so my daughter tells me, I can never find cleaning supplies. I can never find disinfectant wipes where she lives at. And so I said, I'm looking at myself, right? I said, I got like a closet full of cleaning supplies, disinfectant wipes, disinfectant spray. Because you name it, whatever store I got it from, you name it, I grab it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I don't need it, I'm buying it because if it happens to be here. Okay. I said, how am I going to have all this stuff and not make sure my child is good? You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? I'm talking with my wife. I said, I gotta make sure. We gotta make sure that I gotta make sure that my daughter has her supply. So you know what? I grabbed a bag, I grabbed a shopping bag, got like all these different supply, stuff out my closet, that cleaning supplies, disinfectant wipes, and all that stuff, and gave it right, and took it right down to her house. She was amazed on all that stuff I got, and I said she didn't expect me to give her that. I said, hey, I'm gonna get you whatever you need.
Right.
Now, you 31, but you still mine. You still mine. So my message, the purpose of the story is, and this is something that I shared, my mother did with me before she passed away in 2017. No matter how old your child is, you're gonna always be dad. You're always gonna be mom. So you're gonna always want to make sure your children are good. I'm doing a disservice if I don't make sure my child still is good. So when I see her struggling, or I see her, in need, it's still my responsibility to make sure she's good. So that was the more purpose of the story.
Great point. I'm gonna get you what you need. That should be the slogan of every parent out there for their kids. Is that I'm gonna get you what you need. I just want to transition real quick before we wrap this up, because I'm still sitting here looking at this election and these numbers coming across the screen, which is crazy. I'm really, I don't know how to feel about it. Like, I obviously I know who I want to win, but not necessarily because I really like the person or not. But I'm really concerned about the climate of this country, depending on how this unfolds. I'm really concerned about that, and I'm more concerned about it for my kids more so than anything else. But I don't know. It's just a weird feeling that I have right now, and it's kind of like this COVID thing and this election is showing and letting people show their true colors and how they truly feel about certain things. Whether you're blatant about it or whether you're silent about certain things. Just talk about your general impression about everything that's going on involving this election right
now. The last 4 years has been nothing but embarrassment by our government, okay, and the lack of leadership in our government, okay. One of the things that I believe personally, that with this whole COVID, we lost way too many lives because of lack of leadership. And so I personally believe that when a person is not doing their job, then you got to go. Just like if me as a teacher, if I'm not doing my job, they're gonna fire me.
Right.
Or they're gonna take the steps to fire me. This person, and the President of the United States didn't do their job. So I'm a firm believer that if you don't do your job, then it's time for you to go and get a new voice. Now, if this person doesn't turn out to be fine, then we vote them out too. So one of the things that we also got to remember, we can't always just vote for. We can't be too. We're concerned about who the president of the United States is, but that can't be our primary focus. Our primary focus also has to be in our local elections and our state officials, because they're the ones really on a day-to-day we deal with the most.
I agree with that. One of the things I would employ people, especially young people, I'm not a big fan of complaining about stuff and not trying to do things about it. So if you want to see change, whether it's locally, in your neighborhood, in the country, you've got to be in the arena and those spaces to make that happen. Voting is great. It's a great thing. You definitely should do that. But if you really want to see change, you got to be a part of the system that you want to change. It's part of the reason why I got an education. If you wanted to, see police reform, you need to get in those arenas. It's easy to point the fingers outside and, and complain about it, but it ain't going to change unless you get inside of it. And one of the biggest things is that a lot of people feel like that they're oppressed. And I said, well, you're basically asking the person that oppresses you to change the oppression. It doesn't make any sense, right? So you need to get in these spaces, and if you really feel like things need to change, it's time to make that change. And I think this is a young people's movement, and I think this is the perfect time for that to happen. And some of us older people need to get out the way too, and let some of these younger people get in, kind of like you do in your classroom, and let the kids voice their feelings and their concerns, and take some of that leadership as well. So I do think that's.
I am so proud of our young folks stepping up and taking the initiative to say they had enough. And another thing that also concerns me too is that the kids have had enough, and they're taking their own path to create change. I also believe that because of we failed to lead them. And they tired of nobody looking out for them. And that's what I'm seeing from these kids. This is my observation of what these kids.
Here's a beautiful thing of it, because I study hip hop. I consider hip hop my culture, right? So if you look at how hip hop started, these were kids that created this beautiful culture and art form out of a necessity, because society said you can't do these things, and because you can't get into these spaces, they created something not only for themselves. This is the biggest, probably the only cultures that I know that embraces other cultures across the globe, and they created this beautiful thing out of this necessity. And these were young people. These were 16 years old, created a $1 billion industry that's self-sustaining, that has so many messages and so many things that's going on in it. So the young voice could be very, very powerful if we let it be powerful, right? And we need to guide it. Yes, we do need to have some facilitation in that realm, but we don't need to take it over. Let them have their space and let them have their voice.
Yes, absolutely.
I want to switch gears one time, and now you like to have a little fun on here. So we don't have to do this if you don't want to.
I'm all in.
All right,
I'm all in, brother.
Do you have your cell phone with you?
Yes, I do.
All right. This is what we do, and again, you can back out any time. Once you go into your text messages, I like the number 3. Count down to the third person, the third person that you had a text with. If you could give them a call, and I'm going to ask them a very simple question. And out of fairness, I'll do the same thing. I'll let you pick a number. And I'm going to ask them a very simple question if they answer. Put them on speaker. And let them know that you're on the podcast and this is what's going on.
All right. Well, let me pull up. Okay. Let's see here. Let me give my sister a call. I gotta actually take.
Hey sis, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Not much. I need. This is not to put you on. I don't mean to put you on the spot, okay? But I'm doing a live podcast right now, right? And I'm doing an interview right now with by my man Damiso Josey, and you're with us right now, okay? And he has a question he wants to ask you.
Can she hear me?
No, this goes on with it. This is all fun.
This is a very simple question. I just need 2 words. 2 words that you would describe Vince. That describes Vince. 2 words.
Oh boy. Loving, and compassionate.
So, The reason why I do this oftentimes is because a lot of us, we don't get to hear and, give people their flowers while they're, still living. And 9 times out of 10, I hope they would have something positive to say. So you hopefully you made Vince feel good about those positive words. So we're all about empowerment here. So I thank you for taking the time and giving us those 2 words. I agree with you 100%, by the way.
No problem at all.
All right, thank you, sis. I'll call you
All
in a
right,
little
you're
bit.
welcome, bro.
Right,
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right, man. Out of fairness, give me a number.
I enjoyed it.
You hear me?
Was that?
Give me a number. I'll do the same thing out of fairness.
Give you a number?
Yep.
5.
1, 2, 3. This is a good one. This is a good one. And she answered.
Hey, Damiso.
Dr. Dahan, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am on a podcast, and you just did this. So he picked 5. You were the 5th person in my text that I've talked to. So I'm giving it right back to you. I'm
glad I answered the phone correctly, okay?
This is somebody that knows me pretty well. So give me 2 words to describe me and be nice, please.
I would say amazing and very, very generous.
I appreciate that. I appreciate those kind words. I think you're lying, but
Never. Mean them from the bottom of my heart.
Awesome. So this is Dr. Dahan. If you haven't checked out our latest podcast out there, we got it out there. We talked about English language learners and also brain-based learning as well. So that's out there. She started season 5. Thank you, Dr. Dahan. I appreciate you.
Oh, always to me. So, Dr. Josey, thanks. I'm glad I was honored to be the one on the list. All right, bye-bye.
All right, man. One more time with Philadelphia Rain. What's the website so people get more information about that?
Okay, it's www.philadelphiarain.com. Okay, you can also follow us on Instagram as well. And you can search for Philadelphia Rain. And then we're also on Facebook. Okay, we also have a Facebook page, Philadelphia Rain.
Awesome, man. Keep doing those things out there, man. I'm proud of you, man. It's an honor and a blessing to get to know you. Definitely got to spend some more time together, but
absolutely. Because let me just say this real quick about you, man. I mean, like I've watched you. We known each other for a very long time. I've watched you really follow your path. You continue to bless all of us with your gifts. And I watch from afar, even though we don't talk as much as we used to, but I'm like, every time I see you with your family, every time I hear about the things that you're doing, it has nothing but a smile on my face because saying, man, that's my brother doing greatness, man. He needs to be great. And I just wanted to let you know that, man.
I appreciate that, man. The feeling is definitely mutual, man. So anybody that's out there, man, if you've got good friends, make sure you reach out to them and see how they're doing, especially in the days and times that we're living in right now. Just check in, just check up and see how they're doing, and give them some kind words, because everybody needs some loving right now. It's a sad state of things right now. So some good words will go a long way. Just some empowerment perspective things. Again, this is season 5, and I promise you, still working on getting those young voices on. So if you know any young people that are willing to talk about their educational experience, but in dealing with COVID, they want to talk about elections, whatever you want to talk about. I want to give young people on this season space to talk about anything that's on their heart. Because again, we definitely need to be here to support them and to lead them in the right direction as well. We also have working on our fundraiser coming up, our holiday drive. It's going to look a little different because of the COVID thing, so we can't really do the toy drive thing. So I'm trying to figure out how to make that happen for CHOP. As those of you know, we do support the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, specifically their pediatric cancer unit because something very near and dear to my heart. As many of you know, my nephew is a cancer survivor, so we try to bless families during the holidays with that. And we also have our turkey drive for South Jersey, dropping off some turkeys and things of that nature. So as always, man, again, Vince, it's been a pleasure. Definitely stay safe out there, man. I definitely appreciate you, brother.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, you having me on, man. Just continue to be safe. I tell everybody, please please don't be stubborn. Wear a mask. Make sure you social distance yourself. Yes, you want to give people, when you see people, you want to give people hugs. But at the same time, too, you gotta do the protocols so that you can be able to continue on seeing those people for a long time.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, I might mask up even when this is over. I'm gonna be masked up forever. Walking around with masks on. So until next time, everybody, stay empowered.